What's up, everybody? CHM Carnivorous here. I hope that you are having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. So in this video, I'm very excited. We're going to do another carnivorous plant tour for the month of July. This will be part one. We'll do a part two near the end of the month. But I just got in some brand new, really cool plants that not a lot of growers have. And I wanted to give a chance to showcase them, but then also talk about sort of the bumpy ride that they had getting here and how you can also, if you experience that, how you can best take care of those plants to sort of nurse them back to health. In addition to that, I've got a lot of new things that are happening in the tent. I made some changes, and there's a lot of new growth that I'm excited to show you. Stick around. I'll see you soon. All right, everybody, like I said in the original intro, we are going to talk about the changes that I made to the tent. We're going to look at the two newest plants near the end of this video that I got in that I am super stoked about, and I'll tell you all about them. Unfortunately, they had a pretty rough journey getting here, but we are going to discuss that as well, and then I'm going to give some pointers on how, if you experience the same sort of rough journey, how you can go about ensuring that you bring your plants back to health. So first and foremost, I've got my set of 12 seedlings here. There are probably 50 to 100 seeds in each of these. They've only been growing for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So it will be some time before they show any signs of life. I am struggling a little bit with the green mold, so I have opened up these all the way, and I've got the ventilation turned up in my grow house so that we can get as much as possible. I knew that was going to happen. There's not much getting around it, but we will see how it plays out. Stick around, stay tuned for that. We'll continue to make videos. Alrighty, so it's a little harder to move in here now as everything's getting bigger. I am going to put a new unit in here where it basically just runs, instead of having this table, it'll run the outskirts of the whole tent, and it'll allow me just to have plants on the outskirts and give me all this middle room to sort of move around and then hopefully buy some more plants before I'm going to have to upgrade again and get a larger tent. Now, the cool thing about Nepenthes, and the thing that you need to look out for in Nepenthes, is they are a little slow growing in the beginning, but once they hit about adolescence, they really take off. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. If you can see this back here, that one back there, I'm super excited about. That is the Sibuanensis by Mariliana. One of y'all actually helped me save that plant. It was doing terrible, and then I went ahead and sprayed it with a fungicide, swapped it out for some new growth, and then put it in a more shady spot, and that made all the difference in the world. That plant has taken off tremendously. It's already put on several new growth leaves, and we'll continue to watch it. This next one right here is a really cool one you don't see very often. This is a peltata by species 1, so SP1. So peltata gets very squat pitchers. SP1 gets very tall, very large pitchers that are papery thin, and so you get a nice combination there. As a peltata, this plant just does not vine up. It just continues to produce more and more growth points, and so you get this very much a bush effect going. My truncata Titanic Tower is doing just fine. It put out a nice large leaf. It's starting to go from that adolescent heart-shaped leaf to that strap-shaped leaf, and I'm super excited about. It did open a new pitcher, but like other Nepenthes, they are very hard to see. The pitchers always tend to seem to grow where you can't get to them very well. We've got a jungle bells here that's getting kind of buried in all the mess. We'll continue to let that one grow out to see how it goes. And then this one right here, I'm super stoked about. This is Spatulata by Mariliana. Notoriously very difficult to grow. I almost lost it, but was able to put it in some peat moss, 100% peat moss. And oddly enough, that is what has seemed to work. That little red pitcher that you see there is from a Denson Flora robcantleyi, and those pitchers will get the size of wine bottles. This one has had a rough road. So to give you an idea, when I first got into Nepenthes growing, I bought a series of plants and I just wasn't ready for them. And so they did not have the right habitat And so those are the ones that you always hear me talking about that have had a rough go and that are suffering. Now that I have a proper habitat, they are making a comeback, but it has definitely been a slow process. Back here, kind of buried with its new leaf though, is a truncata giant JB by truncata giant C. And so I'm excited to see that one. This one notably puts out these green pictures with a very, very, very purple interior. They will get absolutely enormous, over a foot tall, size of 2-liter bottles easily, but just a slow grower. Here we have a really, really big one, and I didn't realize this hybrid was as rare as it is. This is a Nepenthes Titan spatulata by Titan, and so it puts out these very beautiful pictures here. As you can see, starts off completely lime green, and then that peristome will start to darken all the way to red. And it is a very large spanning plant, so it goes all the way over here, and down here it's got a new picture working. I will share that. So very, very big. This next one is called a Thimbleton. It's hard to differentiate these. This is a Thimbleton by Pulchra, and so you can see that Pulchra, that bulbous bottom there, and it puts out the craziest coloration of pictures. No two are ever the same. It's so unique and it's so cool, and so I'm excited to see that one. Back here we have, oh gosh, see if I can remember this. This is Truncata Giant by Bongzo by Mariliana. And so I got this from Todd's Tropicals. As you can see, oh, peristome's in the way. As you can see, it's putting out a new growth point. Those pictures will get enormous, and they will be very, very, very deep purple in color, and will sometimes have a green peristome. So excited to see that. Sorry if I've been moving a little fast. I've got a lot of plants to cover. If I need to, if you have any questions, go back any other, just let me know and we will do so. So here is the Marpesa by Truncata Giant by Carnivorous. It's on sale right now for very, very cheap, by the way, if anyone wants to get it. Think about it as almost like a maxima growth and look of a maxima, but will get very, very large. It takes on almost a maxima truncata in its vigor and size, so I'm super excited about that. I've got a bunch of these. As you know, these are my spatulata by robcantleyi, and look at them already starting to color up and showing that beautiful, beautiful color. There's a few in here that are growing, and so I've got that little collection going over here kind of in the corner, and I've got some more that I'm going to show you in a minute. Now this next one is a oh goodness gracious, Ventricosa by Bongzo by Mariliana. It's only one ingredient different than that. These pictures, although it has not pictured for me yet, it is basiling a lot. These pictures get like coffee mug shape and about the size of coffee cups. Very, very, very vigorous grower. I have no complaints. Even though it has not pictured, I still love it to death. It is such a cool plant. Now, if you'll remember this one, it's got a picture on here still. This is Spectabilis by Platychilla or Platychila. This is the basil. I cut the main vine off. Here's the, oh goodness gracious. They never want to come up easy. Here's the messed up picture of that cutting. And I put that main vine in a cutting, so we'll definitely see how that goes. Just trying to get some more stock of that plant. Now, I am the most excited about this ragtag looking robcantleyi. This is the Queen of Hearts, King of Spades. This thing has never done well. This was part of that original class, cohort that did not have enough care, and boy was I not ready to grow it. It actually put out its most beautiful leaf to date, and of course I ripped it because I'm a klutz. But the good news is, see how this thing was eaten alive with that fungus. As you can see here, got it. This leaf is fungus free. So I think I finally got its conditions down, and I am so excited to watch this one grow out. This has been a pain in the butt for probably a year, but I'm excited to see how this grows out. Now, let's talk about my favorite truncata in the collections. This is JB Giant by Patian, and as you can see here, I put this up on shorts before and made a video. It gets these nice red tubby pictures. And here we got another big one getting ready to grow in. That's probably maybe another 4 or 5 days before it opens. Probably won't get much bigger than that, but very, very excited about that. It's already got its red coloration coming in, and so I am super excited about that. This next picture, or this next plant rather, is Stillest Hour. So this is a Leilani's. It's Hamakua by truncata by Mariliana. So these get enormous pictures. It has not pictured for me yet, but it is putting out new, huge growth leaves. So I will take that, let it use all its energy into making that growth. I am perfectly fine with that. Here is another batch of that spatulata by robcantleyi that I've just got sort of strewn all around the grow house or the grow tent, and it's sort of doing its thing. I'm super excited about this. I shared this in the most recent video. This is Alata by Caesar, which is Alata by truncata giant by Mariliana. And as you can see, this is the one that the growth tip broke off of. And as you can see now, it has 1, 2, and a third growth point coming out of it. So it will have this will be a bush in absolutely no time flat. So I'm very excited about that. Now I'm getting to the four rather, most exciting ones for me. But first, before we do that, let's look again at another batch of the spatulata by robcantleyi. And as you can see here, we've got another bundle. I don't even know how many pictures in there. Quite a bit of plant in there. And then also this last one doing the same thing, starting to put on size. At this point, I could probably tease them apart, but I'm going to go ahead and let them continue to grow and be buddy until I get a little bit more comfortable in the position I feel like they're good to go. So, all right. So now we're going to get some, one of you just asked what was my favorites, and so we're going to talk about my two favorite. First, we have Nepenthes Caesar, which is a truncata by Mariliana, Mariliana by truncata. And so this is an upper picture of that. And so it's going to be smaller. The plant is smaller, but these pictures will get enormous as this thing grows out. This one is a female. I'm super excited about that. Got it from Todd's Tropicals. And this one in particular is known for its coloration and striping. Next is the obverse cross of that, which is truncata by Mariliana. And I got this one this is an EP clone that I got from Carnivorous, and it is known as Brutus. And so it is growing out. Still working on its first picture in my care, but it did have this one that it came with. You can see beautiful picture. But there's over here is a Caesar, another upper coming in, right there, growing out just fine. Now, to the main event, the two plants that I got that I'm super excited about. These plants came in very, very rough. It was not the grower's fault. The U.S. Postal Service, it looked like Ace Ventura brought me my packages. If you remember from that movie, it was like basically a ball. It was crumpled up, and I was so nervous that these plants were broken. Somehow, I don't know how, they were not. One of them got beat up pretty bad. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this is Alata by truncata. So this one is basically the same ingredients as this one, so this one will grow more vigorously so if you've ever seen a lot of truncata, they get very big pictures, but the most important thing is will grow much more vigorously than even the Alata by Caesar, which in itself is crazy. This is another one that will grow easily in your grow tent or windowsill at home. And for the main event, I am super excited about this one, even though it is completely beat up. This is Nepenthes dioriana. And so it's already got a picture on it. I don't know if that picture is actually going to make it. As you can see, it took extensive leaf damage from the U.S. Postal Service, and even has a little bit of a damage on the growth tip. But all in all, that just looks like a bruise, and the stem itself looks in great shape. Now, the cool thing about this is an old Victorian clone that they made obviously in the Victorian era, and these pitchers get enormous. So the leaves themselves get enormous, and they take very much the shape of a Miranda leaf, very, very spatulate, very, very large. The pitchers themselves are just enormous. They don't get as tall as a truncata, but they still will get well over 16 inches tall. And the span of them, they're extremely, extremely wide. Funny story, I saw one of these in a plant shop a few years ago, and the owner didn't know the name of it. And I had been searching for this plant for so long, and guess who came through yet again? Todd from Todd's Tropicals. So I'm very, very excited to see this. We're going to watch this one. Todd's already told me he would refund it, even though it's not his fault, or send me another one rather, even though it's not his fault. But we're going to watch it, and we're going to see how it grows. I'm hoping for the best for it. I'm hoping that it will survive and make a full recovery. If not, he'll send me another one. But when you start dealing with larger plants, especially getting cuttings, you do run the risk of that happening. It's a larger plant. They're a lot more brittle. They're not as compact as some of your smaller ones. And so there's a bigger risk that they will get damaged. All right, everybody. So this will conclude part 1 of the CHM Carnivorous July Carnivorous Plant Tour, Grow Tent, whatever, longest title in the world. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask. And as always, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. I'll see you soon.